What's up, Achievers? Lauren Pack here, and today I have 3 tips for you to help you achieve your first pull-up. All right, so I'm gonna get right into it. Tip number 1 is to use bands to assist you while performing pull-ups. And there are so many different drills and things out there for assisting you in getting your first pull-up, like hollow holds or slow eccentrics or different things like that that are great, and we think that they're all awesome, but they're not giving you experience doing pull-ups. And really, if you want to achieve a pull-up, you just have to do more pull-ups. And so bands are going to be an awesome way to just assist you in being able to accomplish a pull-up, even if you can't quite do it right now with your own body weight. So they basically take some of your body weight out of the equation and assist you on the way up. So I'm going to show you how to use a band and what to do in terms of getting everything set up and just making sure that you're comfortable using them once you actually get going in the gym with them. All right, so what you're going to see is that I have 4 different sizes of bands here. We want to start with a band that you feel pretty confident. It's going to take a little trial and error, but you feel pretty confident you could get 8 to 10 repetitions with, but we're going to always be a little bit under that. And I'm going to explain this a little bit further later on in our 3rd tip, but for right now, I'm going to go with this yellow band. So it's a 3/4 inch band. I'm going to start there. And the way I'm going to wrap it around the bar is I'm going to hook it over. I'm going to create a little hole here, slide the excess band through, and pull down. All right, that's gonna make it, I wanna make sure I already get it nice and tight so that I'm not adding extra weight down to it without it being fully extended. And then from there, I wanna step my foot in. Now, you may have seen people doing this with their knee in the band here. The reason we like foot instead is 1, you get a little bit more from the band, so you're able to get a little more assistance, and 2, it puts you in a stronger overall position to do a pull-up. If you have your knees bent and your feet behind you, it can be a lot harder to get your core engaged and active in the pull-up, and we really want to make sure that your feet are actually slightly out in front of you to get into more of a hollow body position while you're doing it. So foot in the band is ideal. But that can be tricky sometimes if you don't have a box that's high enough. So you want to make sure you have something high enough that you're not reaching your leg way up too high. So you're pulling down on the band and you should be able to just step right into it, put it right on the arch of your foot, step down and get your leg straight. This is a really key thing to do. If you start here, hang, and then try to straighten it out, you start swinging everywhere and you feel super awkward. All right, so it's really simple, but make sure you straighten your leg first, then come down, and then get your other foot off the box. Now you're just nice and still and you're ready to go. Now from here, you're thinking about driving your elbows down, chest to the bar, and slowly lowering yourself back to the bottom. All right, I'm gonna talk more in tip number 2 about specific technique when you're doing pull-ups, but that was just kind of how to get in and out of the bands. So that is really the gist of how to use the bands, and I'm gonna get a little bit more into how to determine which band is best for you and when to switch from one band to another in tip number 3. So for right now, I'll leave you with that and I'll move on to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is about technique. So when you're doing pull-ups and when you're practicing with bands, you wanna make sure that you're ingraining really good technique. You don't want to be practicing sloppy reps or just rushing through the process, because that's not gonna get you to your end goal as fast or as efficiently as if you just practice good technique from the beginning. And sometimes what this might mean is you have to check your ego a little bit. So sometimes we may have to take a step back in terms of where we think we might be. So say we thought we could use the yellow band and do 8 reps, but now when we take this technique into the equation and we sort of slow things down, you might realize you can't quite get 8 repetitions anymore with this band and you have to go up to a thicker band. That's totally fine. That's actually going to speed up the process in the long run. So please make sure that you're not feeling like negative toward yourself if you feel like you're taking a quick step backwards, because it's gonna take many more steps forward very quickly. All right, with that said, I wanna talk about a couple technique tips here. So if you're using the bands, like I said, you're extending that leg down. You can have your hand position is totally up to you. If you're looking to do an overhand grip pull up, you're here. Chin up is here. Chin up is just gonna work the biceps a little more. A lot of people find them a little bit easier. Overhand grip is gonna work the upper back a little bit more. Both are awesome. Choose the one you wanna do and start working on those. All right? Now from there, we're gonna come to that hang. And the first thing I want you to think about is making sure that your whole body is still and we're driving your elbows down. What we typically see with the first movement here is some momentum from the legs, like that. All right, and also some shrugging of the shoulders, like this. And both of those things are going to be a short-term gain, but they're not going to become a strong pull-up later on. And it's also gonna potentially put you in a position where you might feel some neck issues or some shoulder issues down the road. So we really wanna think about going slowly and pulling by driving our elbows down, which is gonna keep our shoulders away from our ears and in a really solid position from the start. All right, so our body is still. Our elbows drive down, which keeps our shoulders away from our ears. Feet go slightly out in front of you. That's gonna help you to engage your abs. You're really gonna feel your abs turn on here. And then we slowly return to the bottom position where we come to a full stop. All right, and then do it again. Drive down, chest to the bar, lower, full stop. All right, it's tempting to want to get a little bit of bounce at the bottom, especially if you're using a band, because it helps you to kind of get some momentum to go back up. But again, short-term solution, not a really good long-term plan. One more quick thing that we see a lot is people just kind of preemptively putting their foot back toward the box. So on that last rep, they're kind of like already reaching back, looking back. Just know the box is gonna be there. Let yourself come to that full hang and then drop down to the box. So from here, come all the way down, pause, I promise the box is still there, and then you can step on off. All right, and tip number 3 is consistency and frequency of how often you should be doing pull-ups. So a lot of times we have a lot of different goals happening in the gym, and so our programming might be focusing on a lot of different things. So you might have squats and deadlifts and then pull-ups here and there. But if pull-ups are really a goal of yours and you're really trying to go from not being able to do any to being able to do some body weight, you wanna put a little bit more emphasis on how frequently you put pull-ups into your program and how consistent you are with doing pull-ups. It's one of those things where you just need to do a lot of pull-ups in order to be able to do a pull-up. So we actually did a whole podcast about how to put together a program for achieving your first pull-up. So we're gonna link that episode here, but if you don't wanna listen to the whole thing, we're also gonna put the description of what that program would look like so you can kind of reference that and get a better sense of what a consistent pull-up program would look like. But just to give you a couple general pieces of advice, we recommend doing pull-ups 2 to 3 times a week consistently for the duration of the time that you're working on pull-ups. If you're only doing them once a week, it's just not gonna be enough exposure or enough volume to really get you there, or it'll just take a lot longer. And the other thing we wanna really focus on is very small, very manageable, incremental steps. So we wanna think about maybe on week 1, we're doing 3 sets of 8 reps with the yellow band. And then week 2, we might do 3 sets of 9 reps. And then week 3, 3 sets of 10 reps. So over time, you're only feels like you're adding 1 repetition. It kind of feels like a very small step forward, but over time, it's gonna really add up and the volume is gonna really increase to the point where it allows you to then eventually drop down to a thinner band and kind of start back at square one. And now finally, one of the things that's so tempting, and I used to do this all the time when I was trying to hit a new PR or when I had a goal, it's so tempting to just try it. So just say like, oh, I've been working on these for a while and maybe I'm on the purple band for 5 reps, but I just wanna see if I can do a pull-up. And so you just jump on the bar and try one. And inevitably, you probably won't be able to do it. And not only is it just like hard, like it just kind of hits your ego and it makes you kind of feel bad about yourself, but also it's a max effort. So you are you're putting your body through actually a lot of effort and a lot of work and a lot of fatigue that's going to then affect the rest of your training. So even though it seems so like no big deal to just go up and try it, it really does impact your training and it really does impact how you feel about the whole process as well. So we'd really recommend trying to wait until you get to this little thin band, so about a 1/2 inch band, and you're able to do 6 to 8 repetitions with that band. At that point, we would say, go ahead and hop on the bar, give it a try, and most likely you're gonna be able to do that first bodyweight pull-up. All right, so those are my pull-up tips for you today. I really hope that helps you out in your journey to achieving your first pull-up. And if you have any questions, you can always ask us in the comments below. And until next time, sweat out, happiness in.